is more important. Again, I don't think there's anybody going to argue with your abilities, especially for this community. Have you been damaged by the second alligator?
Yeah, well, look, first of all, let's remember something. I got in this race, I said as loud as anyone would listen, stuff out there from this period of time when I was doing it that someone could use. And I also said I learned the lesson from the first time. I was going to fib about it. It's out there. I own it. It's behind me, thankfully. It's behind me in quite some ways. These things that everyone thinks just happened were over a year old. But, yeah. But I was also, remember something, the same exact people that are writing stories saying Weiner shouldn't run wrote them when I got in the race. The Daily News, the Post. This is the stories they wrote. And then slowly but surely, people started to see that what I was talking about, having conversations like this, climb back up, and voters started to make the decision, okay, got it. That information I've got, but look at these other things I'm thinking about, look at the choices I have. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to vote for the right mayor. I'm going to try to choose the guy who would be the best mayor. You think a lot of people voted for Giuliani because they thought he was a nice guy?
2 people.
You know, you think a lot of people, voted for Ed Koch because they understood what was going on in his background. I don't know. People were saying, look, love him or hate him, he could be a good mayor for the city of New York. So the question now becomes, am I going to be able to get that? I have very powerful voices in the city who do not want me to win. They simply can't figure out what it's going to be like. I'll give you an example. First day I got in the campaign, I said something that is completely obvious, but never said, that city employees should pay a small portion of their health care. They pay nothing now. I didn't say that to be punitive. I said it based on my experience with health care, that consumers that spend nothing on it are less good consumers than people who spend a few bucks on it. So I said 10%. That's the third rail of democratic mayoral politics. The third rail. No one does that. Not that it's not obvious, not that we don't have a 40% increase in health care costs for the next 4 years, but no one does it. I did it. Why? Because I'm not interested in not breaking China here. I'm interested in solving problems. So there was an outrage among people in labor unions. No. Quiet. Because they know it's the right thing to do, and they also know what they're going to threaten me with. I've got the perfect thing. I'm right on the substance, and I'm not trying to appeal to someone. No, I ask you. You want a mayor who has that outlook, or a mayor who has already said, I'm not going to talk about that issue because I've got this or that contract in? The same newspapers that are saying stay away from Weiner are the ones that flip-flopped on term limits because a rich guy, a rich publisher called them and said, you got to change your mind now. Okay? The same people who probably on the tip of their pay are up there testifying about how outrageous we are as a community. Okay, so there's a lot of very powerful, and you know what? They don't get to decide this election. You do. And I got my faith in the people of the city of New York that are going to say, you know what? I know an awful lot about this guy, but I also know he'd be a damn good mayor, darn good mayor.